Very good evening. Jai Shri Krishna Guru. Thank you for joining the Bhagavad Gita Satsang, the way of life as described by Lord Shri Krishna to Arjuna. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, Om Shri Saraswataya Namaha, Om Shri Guru Dattatreya Namaha, Om Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha, Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. We'll be continuing chapter 5, the Yoga of Action and Knowledge, and we will be learning about Jnana Yoga or the Yoga of Knowledge and Dhyana Yoga or meditation together with devotion as described by Lord Shri Krishna to Arjuna. So let us begin from verse 25. Chapter 5 verse 24 onwards. He who is happy within himself enjoys within himself the delight of the soul, and even so is illumined by the inner light, the light of the soul. Such a yogi, that is Sankhya yogi, identified with Brahma, attains Brahma, who is all peace. See, in the last verse, the Lord Shri Krishna was teaching Arjuna about how do you first overcome your two important aspects, which is one of the two important tendencies, the negative tendencies, which is lust and anger. And then he's talking about how in this very body, before we cast off this body, one needs to withstand, in the sense, before casting off the body, withstand the urges of lust and anger, and only that yogi can be happy and attain the supreme bliss. In continuation to that, he is teaching here, he who is happy within himself enjoys within himself the delight of the soul, and even so is illumined by the inner light of the soul. Such a yogi, Sankhya yogi, identified with Brahma, attains Brahma, who is all peace. How beautiful it is. But before that, there is a very important step that you need to achieve, and that is about you need to control or withstand the urges of the lust and greed. Anger. Till you don't overcome these two aspects from your life, if you don't control, you don't practice self-control, you don't strive, you don't overcome the urges which the lust and anger creates, you are never going to attain that inner peace. So you can never be happy. See, he's using the word very interesting here. He's saying he alone who is able to withstand in this very life. It's not in some other life. In this very life, before casting off his body, which means before you die, the urges of lust and anger is a yogi, and he alone is a happy man. So how do you get that happiness? See, again, happy is a word which is used here because obviously there's no direct translation of what is meant in Sanskrit for happy. It is a state of blissfulness. Happiness again is just a state of mind. We're not talking the state of mind, we're talking about the inner bliss. But also the mind has also have to be peace. See, the happiness is a state because your mind is always constantly doing the yo-yo. That is, it's either happy or it is sad. It is feeling elated or it is feeling deflated. It is feeling, I like this, I don't like this. So it's always between, shifting between the pairs of opposites. So what is very important is equanimity. But again, happiness is only a state in mind. But what we are talking about, what the Lord is teaching here for Arjuna to achieve is the blissful state. And in that state, you're constantly it's a way of expressing, which is a love. When you are in love with the divine within yourself, a state that you will experience is called bliss. The word bliss, because there is no accurate word in English to describe that state. So we are just trying to express. But you know what? These words cannot actually give you the understanding until you yourself don't experience that blissfulness or even experiencing having equanimity of mind. So what should you overcome? That anger, the lust, just an object, remember, Lord Shri Krishna taught us that the sense objects within them already has an attraction and a repulsion. The moment we see certain objects, the sense objects, either we like or we hate. It could be anything, right? It could right from food, people, things. It can be anything, whether it is animate or inanimate. Certain objects creates, happiness within us. Certain objects, just the sight of it creates anger, hatred, all those kind of negative feelings. And so what are we doing? At that time, our mind is not centered. It is constantly doing the yo-yo. And in that condition, how can you be oneness with the Divine Lord? To experience that oneness, first we need to able to just see God in everybody. Why? Because we don't want to go through this yo-yo state. That yo-yo state is not good. And that is going to be detrimental for one to achieve the supreme goal of God realization. Therefore, what should you do? You don't have to, dwell in that sense object. See, in this whole, the chapter 5, I am continuously repeating the most important lesson which Lord Shri Krishna has imparted right from chapter 2 onwards. And there is a genesis how this happens. There's a sequence in how the mind gets there. See, first is the moment the senses come in contact with the sense object, you should never allow the mind dwell in that object. But what happens even before you have realized, the mind is already dwelling in that sense object. Either some of them you love, some of them you hate. So the mind's job is to dwell in that. The moment you allow your mind to dwell in that, what happens is the mind gets attached to that sense object. And then it's going to be very, very difficult, detrimental for you to overcome. It's a detrimental to your progress. You will be in no way to overcome that attachment. It's a strong attachment that it makes. So the moment you get into attachment, then comes bondage. Then what happens? The moment you're bound, then comes desires. Forget about the bondage aspect. That attachment to that object creates desires. What is the desire? You need to ask yourself. If you don't like an object or if you don't like some people, we have a desire. Okay, this person should get this lesson because this person is bad. This person has done this to me. This person needs to be taught a lesson, whatever that can be. So those are the negative desires. Positive desires could be, oh my God, you know what? I have to get that. I have to become the millionaire. I have to become the billionaire. I need to own that car. I need to, own that handbag. It could be as simple as that. I'm just giving examples. So the desire, either the favorable ones or the unfavorable ones, which is both still a desire. And till the desire doesn't get fulfilled, your mind is attached to that object and it's constantly irritating you. That is the reason why Lord Shri Krishna is teaching that you should not dwell in the pairs of opposites. Don't allow your mind to do this yo-yo. It's very, very difficult for a human being to control the mind. So you have to always, like my Krishna Guruji has taught a very beautiful lesson. If somebody is praising you, think they are insulting you. And somebody is insulting you, think they are praising you. Simple as that. So what are you trying to tell your mind? It's a pair of opposite. So when your mind is trying to feel elated, you're actually saying, no, it's not an elation. But when it's going to feel deflated, or when I say deflated is if somebody is insulting you, you feel very small, right? It's a deflated ego. And who's hurt is the mind. The ego is hurt actually. So at that moment in times, no, you actually tell the mind, no, they are praising me. So in both circumstances, then your mind is confused. And in that confusion, the mind is then made to come to that state of equanimity, so that it doesn't keep doing this yo-yo. That is a method, a simplest method. But even to achieve that, don't you think you have to practice? See, it all begins with the word called practice. You have to strive to practice. My Guruji just says, people can come and, say, I want to be in spiritual, I have to do something. Guruji, you are everything to me. Please do this for me, do that for me. And they fall at my Guruji's feet. But very important lesson here is, till the time you don't show how much God means to you, why do you think the knowledge or the path is ever going to open up for you? Because you're not serious about anything. You're not interested in your own growth. You're not focused. You are just living in your own world. And then you expect miracles to happen. You just don't want to do anything. You don't even want to put an effort. You're not even making a single effort to seeking that God. So how will the knowledge come? We're talking about the real knowledge. The right knowledge is extremely important, to understand the truth. The real knowledge. Until the time that real knowledge doesn't come, how are you going to understand? Understanding is what? You understand that what you were experiencing all these while is nothing but the ignorance. What happens? The layers of ignorance is unveiled, and then the knowledge shines. It is self-effulgent. Then you will start slowly understanding the truth. And once you understand this truth and experience and get your own experience of the lessons that you have been learning, then you will start slowly applying it in your life. Because then you are convinced from within, oh my God, this is exactly what my Guruji is teaching. This is what Lord Shri Krishna has taught. I know now why I should live like this. Why should I practice? Why should I make an effort to do this in my life? Till the time that doesn't happen, you're just going to be a mere mortal. You're going to be a very crass human being in this world like anybody else. You have to go to work, you have children and family to take care, and you're lost in your own world, and living a very below average and mediocre kind of a life. But when you want to become somebody good, somebody, the best in this world, and want to go do something for the world and for yourself, then you will understand that why it is so important to learn, imbibe and implement that lessons learned. Till the time you don't do that, there is no way you can evolve on the path of spirituality. Forget about becoming God, achieving or attaining God realization. That is the ultimate goal. Everybody aspires to get there. But how many actually put in that arduous effort? How many actually strive to practice? This is a question we all have to answer to our own self. Nobody can answer this for you from outside. So if you don't have that burning desire, if you don't put in effort, the knowledge and the path is never going to open up for you. Even Lord Shri Krishna can come and stand in front of you. You can fall at his feet. You can say, you're my everything. Please save me. It doesn't work. This is a very, very profound lesson that I have learned when I began my journey. I'm going to repeat my story once again so that you will understand how the great Lord, the great masters operate. When my Guruji found me, and when I started, learning spirituality under him, under the tutelage of my master, at that time, I wanted everything fast forward. I was like, I have to become the greatest devotee of yours. I should have more knowledge than any of your other disciples, That's the kind of, you feel you want to compete with someone who's already there. They have gone through the process, but you want to compete. It's a very natural human nature to, wanting to come. Those who, if you have, studied in your school, you'll understand. You have experienced this rather in school, college, wherever, right? Even at workplace. We all have this competing spirit within us. If you're the kind of person who aspires to always come first, or you're the one who has always been a first rank student, and you will always want that first, number one place in your life. You will not like to be second or third, no way. So your that competitive spirit is always going to be there. And in that case, what happens is just you're comparing with the first rank student, No, okay, how did I have to beat this person? And I will do what it takes. So you're going to put even more hard work and effort to study hard so that you can top the school, college, university, you name it. Even at work, it's the same thing. And now what happens when I was learning with my Guruji, spirituality is not something like that. It's not a material world competition. There is no competition here. And those are the things you don't understand. You make these basic errors in life because you don't have the understanding about what spirituality means. And then I was telling my Guruji, please teach me. I have to top everybody. I have to be the best, I have to be the best disciple to you. I have to love you more than anybody else in this universe. All those were my demands. And please teach me all the knowledge in this world. I have to get all the understanding about all the scriptures. Obviously, I didn't know. I was ignorant. I didn't know what I was even speaking, what I was asking for. What my Guruji did? That's the most sweetest thing that happened. till the time my ego wasn't destroyed, that I want to have all the knowledge in the world, especially in spirituality, he never even actually started teaching me. My knowledge never opened. I came into spirituality in 2009. I got initiated by him probably a couple of months later. And until 2014 actually, just early Jan, I did not actually step into spirituality at all. In the sense, he did not open that knowledge for me. My Guruji is like that. He actually wants to test you out. And in spirituality, there is no time. Time is only in the material world. In the spiritual world, everything is very slow process. It depends on you how fast you want to progress or not progress. It doesn't depend on the Guru at all. The Guru wants to teach you, okay, but he has to first destroy your ego. And 2014 Jan, I'm not joking, it's such a funny thing happened. That is when my Guruji said, you're not even started on your path. He just said this. What makes you think any knowledge is going to come to you? What makes you think you're going to understand any of the scriptures? You will not, because till now you were completely immersed in that ego of yours, thinking that I want to learn, I want to have this knowledge. He said, I said, okay, let me teach her. Let me see if you're even going to understand. You can't. With ego, no knowledge will enter. So, till the time you don't subdue your ego, show the truthfulness, the real seeking with, humility and humbleness, with your sincere reverence to the Guru and the God, until such time, the path or the knowledge will never open. And for me, my path and this knowledge started opening starting 2014 Jan onwards. And that was a very beautiful moment in my life. It was honestly a slap on my face. It's a slap to my ego. But it was a most beautiful experience, because till the time your ego is not destroyed, knowledge, neither the real knowledge nor the path will ever open. And this is the truth that we have to understand. And if you fail to understand, how will you ever learn? So the Lord is also telling you have to make an effort. You have to control. You need to seek. And if you don't seek, you can't. And once you get that knowledge, then you imbibe, like I said, you imbibe, you practice, you implement. Then the meaning, the real truth is what you will experience. You will experience in your life. That is why, again, it is said, God is to each his own. What I experience God is it's not going to be exactly how you will experience God, because our innermost being, desires that. I wouldn't say the word desire, but it is craving to experience that God. It is what your innermost being wants, what it craves, what it seeks rather, and that is what you will experience. So you can't take somebody else's experience and think that you will also have to experience like that. The reason my Guruji will say for the starters or newcomers in spirituality, he'll say, please talk to my disciples. The reason why my Guruji will say this is because when you go and talk to other devotees, other disciples, you just get an understanding what kind of the process, what kind of experiences they had. How did they, face those obstacles in life? What are the different obstacles that come about when you're evolving on the path of spirituality? So those are the different things that you will get an idea about. Because you don't have an idea of anything. You're just very raw in it. So when you come like that, so you have to make an effort. Slowly you will have to adapt to it. See, my Guruji began, the basic scripture which he'll teach when you come on the path of spirituality is the Bhagavad Gita. Because this is the basic, very foundation of spirituality. So you need to understand the basics of it. And once you do that, then he'll also give you some story books of Shree Ramakrishna Paramahamsa Ji or Sai Baba, Ramana Maharishi, Tukaram Maharaj, Mirabai, Kabir, you name it. There are n number of these sages and saints. So you have to read their life stories, because that will give you more knowledge. Then your quest will begin. You will start asking those questions, and slowly you will evolve on the path. The knowledge and the path will open up for you. But you don't have any questions. You'll always come and ask one question. Guruji, what is going to be my life? when will I have this? When will I have that? You're asking some of the most useless question. Here there is a divine master sitting in front of you and you're asking the most stupidest question. Why? Because you have not made an effort to learn. You have not made an effort to even go and read about anything. See, people read. If you're not putting your heart and soul, you're not going to learn anything. So where is the questions that is going to come about? You're not going to question at all. Why? Because your mind is not in that. You're not serious about what you're seeking. Rather, I would say you're not even seeking at all. It's just a grace. A lot of people come and meet my Guruji. They come, they are there for a day, they are there for a week. Sometimes some people are there for a month, some are there for a year, a few years, and some people maybe 1 or 2 for the lifetime, and some people go away also. So this is how it works. But it is in your hand to use that opportunity to evolve. And unfortunately, we don't do this. And that is where we cannot evolve on the path. So what is very important here is to understand this truth. And if you're able to put in that effort, the most important word here is effort. The reason why I discussed all of this and gave this example is that to understand this knowledge, you have to put effort. It is not going to come so easily. What is he saying? If a man is able to overcome or control the urges of lust and anger, it means you have to control. So he's very clear. You need to have self-control. You have to overcome them. Till the time you don't do any of this, you are never going to attain the state of blissfulness. And the reason I did go in this big, giving this big story is because that experience is never going to come to you. How will you understand the truth? How will you realize that knowledge, what that experience means? No matter how much I, keep trying to explain in different ways, like how Lord Shri Krishna himself is trying to explain to Arjuna. He's imparting the same lessons over and over again in different way. But Arjuna's mind is incapable of right now absorbing that. Why? Because he's attached to that sense object, that I don't want to fight. Why? Because people are going to die. So isn't the desire that no, this war shouldn't happen so that people don't die? So what is the end result? He's focused on the end result. And that is where we all fail. So you cannot be that. So you have to have this knowledge to understand how you need to just do your duties without being attached to the fruits of that action. So doing nishkama karma is extremely important, and especially with the knowledge. So you become a yogi having the knowledge. That's why we say Sankhya Yoga is all about knowledge. And without the knowledge, the foundation of how you have to live in this world, conduct yourself, doesn't form at all. That is why if you see today in the material world, and especially this is Kali Yuga, people don't know how to conduct themselves. They don't know how to behave, how to speak, how to sit, stand. Even the basic etiquettes is not followed. Today is a Thanksgiving Day. We all say thanks to everybody. This is very much a culture in Western countries. Why? Because they, unlike in Asian countries, we live with our parents. We have a very different culture we follow. So for us to tell them thanks, everything keeps happening on a continuous basis. But in a Western world, there is a specific day where they all come together to give thanks to each other, because the children move out of the home once they get into college. So they are living an independent life. So this culture is being followed for a long time now. Now, you see, thanks today, the ability to just say thanks doesn't exist at all. People don't know how to say thanks and not sorry also. Even when they make some mistake, they think, oh, why should I say sorry? It is below my ego, It's below my dignity. I don't have to say sorry to anybody because I didn't do anything wrong. It is the other person who's always wrong. And this is how your mind talks. And please remember, this is a very tough lesson which you are going to learn it the hard way if you don't know how to respect and say thanks and sorry if you have made a mistake. My Guruji has always taught something very beautiful. By saying sorry, you don't actually become small. On the contrary, you rise in my eyes. Even if the other person is right, you still apologize. That shows your goodness, your greatness. And this is a very powerful lesson. And today, this people who think, have this bloated, deflated ego. They will never open their mouth to say sorry nor acknowledge a thank you. It doesn't come. So such people can never progress in their life. And please remember, till you don't learn this lesson, you are going to be stuck where you are. It's a very powerful thing. You don't know how the universe works. No matter who it is, whether it is me or anybody else in our world, the lessons which we don't learn is going to come back biting time and again. This is the way how Mother Nature works, Prakriti works. So you can use all your mind's self-conceit, deceit, so say, oh, I have not done anything wrong, why should I be sorry? You can let your deflated ego or inflated ego think no end of yourself. But please remember, if you have made a mistake, if you have disrespected your elders and said something bad, learn to apologize. It doesn't matter. When you apologize, you rise in the eyes of the God. But when you don't, you actually fall down. You have committed a grave sin, and no matter how much you try to behave nicely after that, that is not going to be that's not going to be equal to what you have done. You have already committed the sin. You have already shot the arrow. The arrow has already hit the mark. And this is a very, very important lesson. Please remember. So if you want to evolve, these are the basic qualities of how you conduct yourself as a good individual. Forget about becoming a yogi. To become yogi, you have to practice about how do you be a sattvic human being. A human being full of goodness. And till the time you don't have this, the reason why this is taught, the Sankhya Yoga is taught, is because of you have to get that knowledge. To become yogi, you have to first become a sattvic human being. The individual who follows the path of sattva. And till the time you don't do that, nowhere you can evolve. So be very careful how you conduct yourself, how you behave with people around you. And if you don't know how to respect or how to thank someone and say sorry, please remember that's a foundation, that's a basic etiquette that is required in our life. To being nice, to being good, to being kind. And till the time you don't learn the lesson, the universe is going to come back biting at you. And at one time she is going to give such a tight slap that you don't know what is going to hit you. At that time you're going to be sorry all your life. Be very careful about this. It's a very important lesson. And you're going to regret and repent for your bad behaviors. So don't behave badly. On this Thanksgiving Day, let us all understand how grateful we are to the God for giving us everything that He has been so kindly, bestowing upon us and taking care of us unconditionally. Let us aspire to be like this great Lord Almighty alone. So let us thank Him for this beautiful life and everything that He has done for us. Please express that thankfulness. Be very grateful, And they think, people also have this very strange thing. Oh, what has God had done for me? I don't have to be thankful to God. He has not done anything for me. He has done everything for somebody else. We always think like that. But you know what? Please remember, whatever the life that you're living, I always have to remind people about their life. They try to compare. You are in that condition because of your previous karma. So what kind of a crass human being or how crappy your behavior should have been that you have this kind of life today? So why become worst in the future lives of yours? Why not become better? For which you have to live a very good life in this very life alone. That is exactly what Lord Shri Krishna is also teaching Arjuna. Before he alone who is able to withstand. What is he saying? In this very life, if you can make changes to how you behave, overcome your lust, anger, desires, greed, whatever the tendencies are, and control the urges of all these Kshatripos in your life, and live a God-pleasing life, following the path of sattva, following the path of righteousness, then you will have a better future. You will be born in affluent family, in a holy womb, in a good womb, in a divine womb is what you will be born, which will enable you to evolve on the path of spirituality. Now that is the truth that we all need to understand. So why behave badly? My Guruji will always warn us, don't do this, don't do this. Many a time he'll just allow a person to also behave badly to see to what level they will stoop down. Don't underestimate a guru's ways. He will many a time tell you, oh, do this, do this. He just wants to see what is it you're trying to do. So be very careful. Revere him, respect him, and seek his grace. It is very important to seek the grace of the Guru. See, the Guru is a very benevolent, compassionate, a divine being. He is not going to do anything. His grace is always flowing. He is ever forgiving. like Lord Jesus as well. He went on the cross and suffered for the sins of the others. Likewise, the Guru is also going to be suffering for your karma, but he can only save you to that extent beyond which you can't be saved. So better buck up and become a good human being. That is very important. Lord Shri Krishna says, in this very life, before you leave this body, you have to practice. Till the time you don't achieve that, then you can't attain the oneness with the Brahma. So it all begins with the knowledge. So use that knowledge. The right knowledge, the knowledge about the truth is what you have to seek. And that comes only with the grace. You have to show your effort. And without your effort, that knowledge will not come as well. So this is very important, and that is why I had to explain to you to understand, to make you understand. And then what happens? He who is happy within himself enjoys within himself the delight of the soul. You're in a blissful state. Then you're able to see goodness in everybody, everyone around. You will love everyone. That is how you will empower yourself to be godly, to be able to become a beautiful divine being. And then you're actually going to evolve on the path of spirituality. And then what happens? And even so is illumined by the inner light, the light of the soul. Such a yogi, that is the Sankhya yogi, identified with Brahma, attains Brahma, who is all peace. It's a very blissful state. Peace is, yes, then it's a way of expressing it. But again, like I said, you have to experience it. Till the time you don't experience this state of oneness with the Brahma, what is this peace all about? You cannot understand. Even if I try to describe, even I can't explain it. So God, or whatever this experience is which Lord Shri Krishna is talking about, you have to experience it yourself. So we'll continue one more verse. The seers whose sins have been purged, whose doubts have been dispelled by knowledge, whose disciplined mind is firmly established in God, and who are devoted to the welfare of all beings, attain Brahma, who is all peace. You know what? I've already explained, or I've explained in detail why we should do this. So the Lord is actually now telling why it is so important. He's reiterating everything that I just talked about. The seers whose sins have been purged. What is it? The seers whose sins have been purged. How will you purge the sin? Only when you follow the path laid out by the Guru. Until the time you don't adhere to the way of life as described by the Master, you will never be able to purge the sins. It's only in the Guru's hand to destroy your sins, whether it is past or the future. But please remember, the prarabdha karma has to be, whether you like it or not, it's a repayment. You have to go through it. But the Guru actually cushions it. So the impact is not going to be felt too much by you. But if you don't do this, then you are still going to be creating more karmas. And if you fail to listen to the Guru, you are actually creating more karma. Then you are on your own. Please remember, the Guru cannot do anything beyond that. You are still going to be born again and again and again. At the most, what you will attain? You think what you're going to attain? Krishna's heaven? Of course not. He is very clear. If you don't follow these, rules and regulations, there is a rule book. Lord Shri Krishna is very clear. If you don't follow his way of life, way of how you behave, how you sit, how you stand, do everything, how you speak, what kind of a quality you need to have. This whole scripture is talking about that. You can't attain him, forget it. And who will you be able to attain? His God, some heaven. You can go to Vishnu's heaven or something, some other heavens. There are a lot of God's heaven. Those things you will be able to attain. And then what happens? It's like my Guruji teaches, he says it's like a holiday that you earn. So till the time your good merit is there, you're enjoying that holiday. And once the points is finished, you're thrown back again. So you have to come back again to go through that repayment journey. That is, suffer for your sins. So this is the truth about life. And if you don't care about your own welfare and your own well-being, who else can? Like I gave an example. The God is very clear. To attain him is not such an easy thing. He's going to watch. Like I told you, it took me 4 years really to begin the journey to learn. You know why that is very important? Because the foundation on which this knowledge is going to be established has to be firm. So if you're not purified in your heart and your mind, and the surrender doesn't happen, how will this knowledge be imbibed? You can't. So ego, you cannot learn this truth with ego. Please remember, ego is very, very detrimental. Whether it is inflated ego or deflated ego. And the biggest ego is the deflated ego. Oh, I am hurt. Look at the person who talked to me like this. Oh God, overcoming that is a big challenge. It's a nightmare. Destroy that ego. How does it matter? Understand the truth that you are not this body. Somebody is talking to this body. Are you the body? No, right? So why should it affect you? But this understanding is not so easy, because who is getting irritated? The mind. Why? Because the ego is hurt, and that is what we have to chuck it out from our life. So the seers whose sins have been purged, whose doubts have been dispelled by knowledge, whose disciplined mind, see, they are all, one is their doubts have been dispelled. How is the doubts dispelled? We already learned about it. The knowledge, cut asunder the ignorance with the sword of knowledge. And once these doubts have been dispelled, and then what happens? The disciplined mind, whose mind is disciplined, is firmly established in God. What is the most, what is the one thing which is not disciplined at all in our life is our mind. Here Lord is talking about, forget about you being disciplined. He's talking about your mind becoming disciplined. Do you know how much of effort you have to put? This is not a joke. So let's be very clear. So don't try to fool yourself saying that I know Bhagavad Gita, I follow Lord Shri Krishna, I am following his ways, I am a very spiritual person. Like my Guruji says, spiritual ka yes bhi nahi aata hai. Sorry for the Hindi. You don't know the S of spirituality also. Even the dot also you don't know. So what big spiritual you are? People have this fad these days. Oh, I am spiritual. What spiritual? Not even 2 cents, 2 paisas knowledge is not there. First, put in effort. Discipline your mind. Forget about the disciplining the body. That's so gone out of window. One day you will wake up 4 o'clock. Second day you will wake up at 4:30. Third day I will not get up also. Why? Indiscipline. Your mind will say, oh, today I am tired. I want to sleep. Inconsistent thrives. So where is the question of striving to practice spirituality? Zero knowledge will come to you. So here he's very clear. So please remember, Lord Shri Krishna is not some easy thing like, oh, I am Krishna devotee, I will attain. What devotee you are? Do you know the word devotee means? You have to be devoted. Devoted to what? To attaining this perfection. Till the time you don't achieve, yeah, you can mouth, I am the greatest devotee, I love you, I'll do this, I do that. Nothing works. Till the time you don't strive hard, you don't practice, you can't be even 1% in spiritual. No spirituality is going to come to you. Be very clear. He's teaching this to Arjuna. This is not a joke. So take it very seriously. So that's why, my Guruji will say, I just need one student. I'm not interested in I'm not interested in having millions of followers, millions of disciples. One is what I care about. That is exactly what it is. There is only one Arjuna, Lord Shri Krishna is teaching. He didn't teach the entire Kauravas or Pandavas. He taught Arjuna. So be that Arjuna to learn faster, not like Arjuna 18 chapters. But whether we like it or not, we have to learn this beautiful lesson. I think we should give credit to Arjuna. Because of him, we have this beautiful lesson, 18 chapters. So let us learn and become this beautiful being, and let us achieve and attain Lord Shri Krishna. So what is he saying? Whose disciplined mind is firmly established in God, and who are devoted to the welfare of all beings. I just want to be devoted to myself, my family, I have other things to look after. Well-being of all beings. Never in my life am I going to devote it. I only care, I need the power, position, everything, name, fame to fill in my pockets, and to also help a little bit people I know around. This is the world we are in today. Rise and do something, not just for yourself, for the entire world. That is why we are born as this human body. There is a purpose. The higher purpose is what we have to serve, not just fulfilling our crass, human desires, petty desires of this body. Attain Brahma, who is all peace. Only when you do this, then you attain that Brahma, who is all peace, which is that blissful state. So let me stop here and continue from verse 26 onwards in my next satsang. Thank you for joining. The Bhagavad Gita Satsang, the way of life as described by Lord Shri Krishna to Arjuna. Om Shri Mahaganapate Namaha, Om Shri Gurudev Datta, Om Shri Sachidananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Digambara Digambara, Shripad Vallabha Digambara. Om Shri Krishna Guru Nathanataya, Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Devi Durgaya Namaha, Om Shri Krishna Arpanam Namastu. Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum.